Hello there. It's time for a mail video. These are packages that have been sent to me by wonderfully supportive and generous viewers. And today we're going to take a look at what mysteries await inside. Some of these have been around here for months and I haven't opened them because I kind of wait for mail videos. Sometimes I do them in regular videos like with the PS2 stuff. But these ones, I decided to hold back for a proper mail video. So let's open up a bunch of packages and see what is inside, because I know for a fact there is some really cool and interesting stuff in here. This first package comes from Franklin in Crescent Spring, Kentucky. All right, now this one is open already because I wasn't exactly sure what was in it because it was very, very well padded and made the box bigger than I thought it would be. So that was the safest packing I think I may have ever seen for something like this. But this is something that I am very curious about, and we're already gonna go on a tangent here. Now, this is a Cumulus external floppy drive, and this is very similar to one that I actually did a video on recently where I made a grease weasel adapter to plug into the back port so it can be used as a fully external reading and writing floppy drive. However, there's a critical difference between this one and the one that I worked with, and that is that this one is listed as a 1.2 megabyte drive instead of a 360K drive. Now, Franklin actually gave me the backstory of why they wanted to send me this drive. They were trying to find a 360K drive to use with one of their computers, and this one being 1.2 meg caught them by surprise. Now, it was actually listed as a 1.2 meg drive, it turned out, but the red LED on the front of this thing would have tripped me up as well, thinking that it's a 360K drive. Why would that? Well, I kind of have a stupid rule that works out the majority of the time, where 1.2 meg drives have a green LED and 360K drives have a red LED. The vast majority of the time, this turns out to be true. So this being a 1.2 meg drive with a red LED is a little rare and kind of funny to me. But I will be able to use this for reading disks in a very nice enclosure. The reason that you don't want a 1.2 meg drive sometimes is if you're trying to write 360K disks, because the head on a 360K disk is twice as wide as the one on a 1.2 meg disk. And you can have the data not quite be aligned correctly when you go to read it on an older computer. So it's pretty important that you match the correct 360K drives when you're trying to write disks for those older machines. Thank you again, Franklin, for sending this, though. I'll have to figure out where I have my PCBs for that project that I did with this, because I was actually building up that 360K drive that I did back then as a gift for someone else, so I don't have that pre-assembled unit anymore. So I'll have to build up another enclosure for this one. Speaking of PCBs, the next package comes from Majenko, near London. Now, if I remember correctly, what this one is, this is going to be a very handy little adapter board. All right, I didn't know Majenko actually sells these, so I'll ask them to see if there is a link for one of these, and I will put that in the description down below. This is a completely passive TTL video, that is MDA, CGA, and EGA to VGA adapter. This should make it easier to capture these older video standards with a VGA capture card, but mostly for capture sources where you can very easily configure them, like Extron video scalers, or I'm looking forward to trying this on the RetroTink 4K, actually. I'll need a male-to-male adapter, and then I should just be able to plug it directly into the back, which will be kind of sweet. But that is going to be a very handy little adapter. Thank you for sending that. The next package comes from Jeff in Niles, Illinois. All right, this is another one that I did sneak a peek on because, well, in this case, it was so light, I had no idea what it would be, but it is a pretty awesome care package for the deck writers. Now, this is a really nice piece to get here, and then these, or this, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, there are two of them. These are the drive belts for the carriage, and this is the drive pulley. Now, I had mentioned on the one that's on one of my units that it looked like it might have been cracked a little bit, and this is kind of interesting. So This is a replacement. I didn't know there was a collar. I wonder, I'll have to go back and look and see if they're multi-part like this on mine. I didn't realize that. That's really nice. But yeah, so plastic gears tend to shrink and contract over time. And when they're put onto a metal core like this, it can lead to them splitting. It's a massive problem in the Selectric typewriter collector community. So yeah, having a spare for the Deckwriter is very nice. And what may end up happening is that I have to drill this out and widen it, which will be a problem with that spline. But yeah, I'm not saying that this one will have shrunk, but you know, let's say a decade or two from now, when the other one blows up, this one may not fit because it will have shrunk as well. But as long as it shrinks, you know, the same amount all over and it doesn't crack on the center, I might be able to make it fit. So that's a really nice piece to have. And then the belts are just obviously a wear item that are really nice to have spares of. So thank you so much for sending those. I have been enjoying using the Deckwriter for some of the printouts. So yeah, I am definitely going to put some miles on it. Thank you for sending all of these spare parts. Those are really nice to have. Now here I have two packages from 1010 who didn't really want a pin on the globe, but we're still going to check out what they sent. Now, if I remember, these items are essentially being saved from e-waste, and I was offered them as a way of giving them a better home. So I'm really appreciative of you reaching out about these because, oh yes, this one, I definitely remember. So that is a 10-foot GPIB. Oh, it's two cables. Okay, so these are GPIB cables. GPIB is the world's greatest connector standard. That is an alpha cable. That's kind of incredible. HP, though, was one who made it. These are more known as HPIB cables, Hewlett-Packard Interface Bus. This would be the general GPIB, General Purpose Interface Bus iteration. They're exactly the same, IEEE 488. Anyway, these cables are super useful when you have way too many HP things, and that would be me. So it is really handy to get these. And yeah, GPIB, HPIB are really cool because they are a daisy chain connector. So when you go to connect multiple devices together, you can daisy chain the connectors off of each other to have a string of devices all connected to each other. That's why this one is so short. Let's say you have two pieces of test equipment, like maybe multimeters stacked on top of each other. You can chain them all together like that for computer control. They're absolutely fantastic. More GPIB cables are always useful for me. I burn through so many of them. Not that they wear out, they just get used in setups. Now the other package. Oh, 25 to 9-pin serial adapter cables. These are also tremendously useful because a lot of the vintage serial equipment I get, like terminals, the Deckwriters, modems, all that kind of stuff, are going to have the older 25-pin serial connectors, and most of the modern USB adapters are 9-pin. So yeah, these are extremely handy to get, to have the cable and the adapter built into one, so you don't end up with a giant long stack of floppy adapters like I had in the Deckwriter video. These are super nice. And pre-null modemed, that's handy too. Man, this is just like the best cable ever. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sending these all 1010. This next package comes from Kyle in Kearney, Canada. And we have a note. Shelby, here are the typewriter ribbons you requested. New old stock ribbons are obviously going to present their own challenges, but you have the skill. Enjoy the provenance of a genuine deck box of supplies. Ooh, I remember these. Oh, yes. Oh, this is so cool. So, more Deckwriter stuff. These are official Deckwriter ribbon cables for the LA 30, 36, the LA 120. These, for the Deckwriter 2 and 3, these are awesome. That's so helpful to get more of these. Old ribbons like this these ones are a little weird actually because of the way that the sizing is done. So these are not like universal 2-inch spools. So these ones are a little more unique. I don't know about the ribbon width. It's probably 1/2 inch-ish. but it is possible to re-ink these ribbons and maybe rejuvenate them. These ones, though, being sealed, will just be ready to go out of the box. And speaking of the box, it is just super duper cool to have the original deck box. There's the LA120. It'll work with the LA36 as well. They're exactly the same. But yeah, that is super awesome. Thank you, 2DFX or Kyle, for sending this. Oh, by way of the serial port. Awesome. The next package comes from Aaron in Hillsboro, Oregon. This is a tall one. Oh, man. But all the packages are going to get bigger from here because apparently I put all the small ones next to me. So, yeah, they're going to get larger and heavier from here. All right. Oh, man. Wow, those are heavy. Holy moly. Awesome. Oh, I am starting to remember this now. Okay. So what we have here are 3 MDR connector cables. So these are useful for 2 kinds of devices. Camera Link, National Instruments Camera Link. Interesting. I might look that up to see if there's any information about that. Now, what these cables are usually known for is DFP, or digital flat panel, and they carried a protocol known as Display Link, which would later become DVI, which then become HDMI. And these are used for DFP, LCDs, and things like that. They are not very common. These ones do not appear to be, though. I don't know what Camera Link is. I could totally see that being a offshoot of the same protocol, but that is really interesting. These also work, though, with, it's actually sitting right here, my Sony Qualia 005 television, which has an independent control box that goes off somewhere else that uses a DVI cable and a single MDR cable to control the panel. Now, this is not a DFP panel link display. It just happens to use a second MDR cable for the control signals because the remote and stuff are picked up by that, but then the actual brains are in a box that goes somewhere else. Now, there are MDR cables still out and about that you can get, but it's still really cool to have some vintage ones, so I appreciate that. And then we have, I don't remember if this was in the original discussion. This looks like a specs violating VGA cable. Now, VGA cables technically are supposed to be limited to 50 feet. Maybe this is exactly 50 feet, but I can tell you from experience, when you start getting this long, the signal quality from the cable sucks. But they can still be useful if you don't care as much about the actual signal quality. And in this particular case, I actually bought a teleprompter recently that came with a VGA display, and you know what? This might be perfect for it. So you know what? I might actually use this. Thank you so much for sending these. Oh yes, and then of course, the capacitor, 50,000 microfarads. Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Yeah, and 16 volt, that's a big chunky cap. This might be a little dry inside. Curious. This massive package comes from Ryan in Newfoundland, Canada. Oh boy, this is a very curiously shaped package. I have no memory of what's in it. I can see it was from November of last year at this point. So it's as much of a mystery to me as it is you, because I am not good at remembering these things. Oh, I got a sneak peek and it's starting to come back to me. Peek behind the curtains. I'm actually working on a video at the moment. I'm halfway through of, we're using AutoCAD on that PS2 I've been working on. And you know what I see in here? A Suma Sketch tablet. That's part of it open here. This, oh my gosh. I think this goes with it. Oh man, okay. What? Okay, that's not what I thought that was. Oh my gosh, a trainer? A Sim Model 1 by Synertech Systems Corp. I don't remember this. That is so cool. So we have a Rockwell chipset over here, it looks like. There's no ROMs by the looks of it. There's some kind of ROM adapter there. We have a SY6522 there. That's probably our CPU. Rockwell, oh, 6502 right there. Boom, that's it. That's the CPU. So that's a peripheral controller most likely. Oh my gosh, that is super cool. 1978 Cinertech Systems Corporation. Oh man, that's awesome. All right, now everything else down here, I believe, is the Suma sketch stuff. Ah, okay. Oh, that was clever to make a little protective cover for the pen. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Oh man. Driver disc. Might actually just straight up work with the PS2. It's serial, 3.5 inch. And then that, oh man, it is huge. It's the pad. Oh, there's so many things already. Wow. Oh man. That is a Suma Sketch 2 Professional. It's a gray plastic slab. This doesn't look like a lot, but trust me, this thing is awesome. So underneath here, there are coils all over that can sense the receptor coils on this puck, and then also the location of this stylus. This is a pointing device to be used with CAD software, and I mean, you could use it for artistic projects as well, but it's mostly meant for CAD. Oh man, that is so cool. So one of the things that I was a little surprised about here, I can show you actually. When you sent in your mail-in registration card for AutoCAD R11, you could be sent this bonus package, which has a bunch of cool stuff in it, but it has something directly related to these. Now, these are the bonus materials, some manuals, a thank you letter and all that kind of fun stuff. But down here at the bottom, we have a CAD overlay. And then something I didn't quite understand why was here until seeing this. So on a CalComp, you can actually lift a clear sheet and then kind of like this actually, slide this underneath. You can actually see the same thing on my HP pen tablet that was even older than these are. But this one does not have the clear sheet. It is just straight plastic on top. So these are alignment and registration pegs that you could put up here to hold this in place. I was wondering why these existed because I've never seen a CAD tablet that doesn't have the plastic sheet on top. That's really cool. This is filling in more gaps in my knowledge. I love seeing things like this. Thank you so much for sending these, Ryan. I have a couple last minute additions that I'm adding in before the final mail piece here. And this first one comes from Wesley in Queen Creek, Arizona. And Wesley lives fairly close to me, so they just hand me stuff. So I don't really have a box to open, but I do have a couple of things to show you here. They give me a lot of stuff all the time. They're basically like a scout for me at Goodwills and thrift stores. Oh my gosh, pinball construction kit. So there's some cool things here. I'm just going to show you a couple of things. This wasn't even the one that I thought I was going to show you. That's super cool. I like the gray floppy jacket, but these are kind of amazing. These are Hyundai demonstration discs. I have no idea what for. Yes, I will image one of these if there is actual Hyundai software on here, but these have a silk screen on a white jacket that's printed on the floppy. That is unbelievably cool. There are several of these in here, and I'd never seen a white floppy disk in person like that before. And I've never, ever seen a screen printed floppy like that. That is unbelievably cool. So really awesome to see that. And then keeping with the floppy theme, are a bunch of SSI AD&D titles. I have never played any of these, but I'm pretty sure there are some big names in here. I believe Eye of the Beholder is a big one, as is Pool of Radiance, I believe, another huge one. Kind kind of annoyingly, they're for literally every platform. We got Amiga, PC, Commodore 64. Oh my gosh, do we have an ST one in here? That would just be amazing. No, we got mostly Amiga, it seems like. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, some SSI titles. That's really cool to see. I don't think I had many of these, if any at all, before. So it's really cool to get those. And then there's this really big one here. These all have absolutely fantastic artwork. This has got to be somewhere somebody knows who actually made the artwork. They kind of remind me of the like Molly Hatchet covers. Well, I mean, yeah, especially the one with the like Vikings on it. Yeah, those are super cool. Thank you again, Wesley. One more last minute package from Helen in the Netherlands. Now this one, I definitely know what is, and was a little bit surprised by it, and one of the unique things about it. Oh, I almost got that open cleanly. This is an MCA diagnostic card, and it's actually just the bare PCB, of course, here. So this was designed by Tube Time, and they're awesome. They release a lot of great open source designs for stuff like this. And one of the reasons that Hellencroft sent me this was actually because they had these PCBs made, and these require a very special V-score edge to not completely destroy the MCA slot. So it did actually make a little bit of sense to send a bare PCB halfway across the world, just because it's not trivial to get these made. And that is a super-duper nice V-score slot on there. So yeah, I can understand that. Thank you so much, Helen, for sending this. I don't know when I'm going to build this up. I'm going to be completely honest. I really hope I never need this, because that would mean that my PS2 is broken. But if it does ever come to that point, I'm going to be really happy to have this. So thank you. Now, the last package comes from Arthur in Woodbridge, Virginia, whose father, Colin, passed away and was looking for a suitable home for his father's calculator collection. And I'm happy to provide that home because I am very appreciative of old and unique calculators as well. I also want to apologize to Arthur if you're watching this, because there were some complications with shipping this, but I'm still extremely appreciative of this. To Shelby, thank you so much for giving these calculators a home. My father was, among other things, an amateur mathematician, often writing complex equations that went far over my head. He was quite proud of his collection and often joked that the only stable economy was in calculators. I hope they bring you as much joy as they did him. Thank you, Arthur. I'm quite confident that I will have a lot of joy with them as well. All right, so I have not looked through this yet, but I can already see some non-calculator things right away. So here we have DisplayWrite version 2.0. Well, that's offers full text processing. That's really cool. Okay, so publication and authoring software. Oh, that's not sure I've seen one of those from an IBM product. That's kind of cool. That is a lot more PS2-like. Huh. All right, here we have IBM 3270 Personal Computer AT Guide to Operations. What PC is this? 3270? I thought it was 5170 for the AT. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it's a different one, like the 286 one. I don't remember. That is really cool though. Here we have IBM Basic for the 3270. I don't know if this is the same Basic reference. It would have been shipped with the earlier PC and AT systems. These are kind of unique for this AT. I'm not used to seeing these in blue. That's kind of weird. And then the last package here is DOS for IBM personal computers. I don't know which version this is. IBM 3270 PC control program. Okay, so it's looking like, all right, DOS 3.0. Okay. It is just the manual, but PC DOS 3.0 will definitely have been archived, so I can complete this at some point. All right, from here, I'm gonna take everything else out so we can look at all of it at once. Okay, there is a lot here. I'm gonna go for the weirdest thing to talk about first. And a copy of PC Magazine from October 1991. This might sound weird. I've never actually touched a copy of PC Magazine before, but I have spent so much time reading these. So this is kind of wild to actually see one in person. I had no idea they were so tall. Like this is weird. Oh my gosh, that is kind of wild to see this stuff in person. I see why this is the issue that Arthur's father had, though. It is focusing a lot on pocket computers and hot dog stands, apparently. I am going to have to stop looking at this because I can spend all day looking at a magazine like, oh my gosh, it's a Kodak. I mean, it says Canon. I don't know if I believe them. Yeah, I'm gonna have to close this before this becomes the whole video. And then here we have a TI-99 4A manual. That is always a handy. I'm not sure that I actually have the full manual like this. That is going to be nice to have. I don't remember having one that's bound like this. Okay, cool. Let's start out with the TI-74, which I am not familiar with. Oh man, now that's a machine right there. I am going to have to go through all of these and make sure. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So that's going to be job number 1 here, is making sure that they are all protected from battery leakage. This may be a little disjointed from here because every single one of these calculators ended up having batteries in them still, and I needed to make sure that I removed them before I put them into storage. None of them had leaked badly enough to cause any damage yet, so thankfully I was getting to these in time still, but I did need to make sure to take all of them apart and take the batteries out, which took over half an hour. So I wasn't able to be as smooth and consistent with this. But yeah, oh man, that thing, oh, that's so cool. I think that's just a dummy cartridge, but oh man, that is awesome. I bet that thing is a riot. This manual actually goes to this one. These are different machines. So we have a TI-85 or TI-95, which this feels a lot more premium, and it actually has a ROM pack in here, mathematics. Okay. I want to do something with the landscape form factors like this. Is this a Sharp Elsa? It is a Gradematic 200. Okay, I don't know what this is. Letter grades. Oh, that is super cool. All right, the batteries are out, and I have the manual here so we can get an idea of what this thing actually is. The Gradematic 200 not only can average a set of letter grades of various weights, it can handle any numerical grade scale up to a maximum of 999 total points. Most semester point scales will probably not exceed 300 to 400 maximum points. Dude, that is so cool. So this is a grade calculator based on points to generate letter grades and for probably grading on curves as well, because there's a student average, next student class average. That is so wild. I've never seen a grade function calculator like this. There are all sorts of wild, unique calculators, but that's a completely new one to me. All right, this, I don't know what this is. I think it pops. There we go. It pops open like that. Okay, so it is okay, this is a fairly standard memo pad. Those are, I actually don't think I have one that's just a plain device like that, so that's kind of cool to have. Here we have, this looks like another full featured kind of a combination between one of the memo calculators and one of the more capable oh, that's really bad actually. Ooh, I have no idea what this even is. Exec Helper 8200. That's kind of interesting. Huh. All right, then we have Casio CFX 9800G. Now I have some Casio color graphing calculators. These are always wild. Hopefully whatever's going on the left corner there isn't a sign of an issue. That could be some LCD leaking or bruising. It's hard to tell. But yeah, that's a super cool machine. What are you thinking, CVS, with your copper bottom batteries? There we go. I've never seen one of these that's in this like Panasonic Toughbook style giant chunky case. This is kind of funny. These are definitely really, really cool calculators. And I'm pretty sure these are the first color calculators, maybe the first color graphic calculators, but yeah, that's super cool. All right, you can't have this kind of collection without a Casio with just a little more force. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. So we have the Casio touchpad. Is there a year or something on this? I'm going to guess there isn't. Casio was really bad about that. By the way, word of warning, if you ever open any one of these Casio devices from this era, look out for these tiny weird little springs. These connect to the back plate for grounding, and they are really easy to damage. All right. The final one is, oh man. That is so sweet. A Sharp PC 1251 pocket computer. Oh my gosh. So this comes out a little dock here. How does it slide out? Just pops up. Look at that gorgeous little thing. And then full printer, micro cassette recorder. There's probably a battery in this too. This is that kind of connector. Actually, I think that's very similar to the one that I have on the, I forget exactly what model it is, but the one that I replaced the LCD on a while ago. Unfortunately, I think the LCD on this one is roasted. It should not be black, so this one may be in need of an LCD replacement as well. All the thermal paper rolls you could ever want for one of those, and a power supply to run it without batteries, so I will be able to use it even without batteries once the LCD is replaced. All right, and then we have that. Ooh, that's kind of weird to go in like that. Well, okay. For future me, the battery was, they were not in there in the traditional fashion. So yeah, definitely this is staying in the edit, so I can come back to that later. And there we are. These are super duper cool. Yeah, I'll have to see if there is a replacement LCD for this one like there are the others. Well, thank you to everyone who sent something. Really do appreciate this. There are some awesome and useful things in here, and I am really appreciative of it. But that is going to be it for now. If you enjoyed this video, there's a whole bunch of other mail videos that you can go check out, and some of the other videos that I mentioned here I'll have linked down below. If you want to help support the channel, you can find me on Patreon. But for now, that's it, and I will see you next time.